Me, but you can just show them the QR code anyway.
Okay.
Everybody has access to the
Okay.
QR code.
So, hey, look, boogie. Well, why didn't you post it on the group?
What?
It's
Okay, here we go. So we're going through questions. Now remember, I did a summary over here. Oh no. Thank you.
Is the camera really bad?
It's not.
Okay, watch this. We're going to carry on going through the questions very quickly.
We're doing as
I like when the camera's
Yeah.
I'll send you the article, you'll read it. I'm going to post the
We stopped at 5. We didn't do 5.
Okay? Just watch it. Let's go. All of the caches we've had on Seven Wonders so far have been about one of the things. Like, we see that the land wasn't completely desolate for 2,000 years. In the Byzantine period, there was wine production and there was pilgrimages and there were lots of churches growing. So that means that the prediction of desolation is not true, for example, or it's very vague. Or you were saying, I could just say, well, what is desolation? And then, so we said, one answer is we've got to see it as a whole thing. So this is all what I always go back to. Is it reasonable to believe a human wrote these predictions? So for example, the desolation one. You're living in a fertile land. You're the Jewish nation, you're living in a fertile land, and you're writing a book to start your religion. The land is very fertile. It's very, very fertile. And everyone on the face of the planet wants Israel. There's no empire, the Romans, Ottomans, Byzantine. You want Israel. Why do we want Israel? We said there are two reasons. Because it's trade, the land bridge between Africa and Asia. And it's just very fertile land. It's very, 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 very easy to have civilization in this land. It's very easy. You want it, and it's easy. Everyone wants it, and it's easy. So why am I writing a book saying when we get kicked out, the land's going to get desolate? Whatever desolate means. We can talk about what desolate means. Why is someone writing that? It's completely unlikely that it will be desolate. Firstly, it's unlikely that you'll get kicked out, but it's unlikely that if you get... In fact, it's impossible. It's naturally impossible. Why would it be desolate? What would someone writing a book... What's the hava mina? What's the hava mina that it would be desolate? What gain is there in writing that? How do I gain by saying when... Now, it might sound very cool. Wow, the land... But it's not going to happen. And, for example, how about... we'll be a light unto the nation. We're going to be exiled for your number. We're going to be gypsies. If we survive it all, we'll be gypsies. Now, I'm writing my book, and then I'm going to say, I want to be a light unto the nations. There's no chance. Why would I ever... Why would I say that? So we got two things. Is it reasonable to believe that human being wrote these predictions? Secondly, what's the likelihood of them actually eventuating? How likely are these predictions going to come to? Very, 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 very unlikely. Very unlikely. So much so that Mark Twain and Blaise Pascal and Winston Churchill and John Hanna, all of the people are saying that's how. Everyone's so freaking out by it. Especially as they are extraordinary contradictions. So let's very quickly do the mouse thing.
What does that last line mean? Especially if they are extraordinary and...
The prophecies are extraordinary, so it's very unlikely they're going to happen. But even more so than they are each individually quite extraordinary things, they contradict each other. If you're exiled for your number and hated, then you're not going to be a light unto the nations. They just contradict each other. Extraordinary in themselves and contradicting makes it even less likely that they can all happen. If those ones happen, those are not going to happen. But those did happen, and those did happen.
And like you said, you can't find some arguments against each one of them individually. But ultimately, if you go back to the reason where, if it was written by a human, it wouldn't make sense for him to write that, then that's ultimately the...
That's ultimately, even if I can find things, which I can't, I don't find any good refutations to even the individual one. Hello? Hashem, I'm trying to help you, dude. Hashem, I'm trying to prove you wrote the Torah. Why won't you open it? I'm being serious. Does this prove that God wrote the Torah? No. I'm trying to help you. You help me. Help me help you. Thank you. Gosh. I don't know if I'm going to have a minute today now, Hashem. Go on from me. I'm doing everything for you. Everything. I'm not doing this for me, actually. I'm not doing this for you and the Jewish people. It's got even worse now. It's not for me, it's not for my honor. It's for you and the Jewish people. You can see all my stuff that I'm working on. The feel book. 7 Wonders of Mouse History. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Wait.
Okay, there's a family of 300 mice. We have to make sure that they survive for thousands of years. What will guarantee their survival? I've got a family. Here you go. Here are 300 mice. I've got to guarantee that this mice family is going to survive. So I'm going to think to myself, well, obviously, they need a great, lush, safe place to live in peace and with abundance. I'm going to build them an amazing cage, a very safe cage, which has all their needs. That's obviously. Then they need to reproduce, obviously, and the more the better. I want these mice. If I want to keep these mice around for all time, let's get as many mice babies as we can. That's going to be very good for us. And they need to be at peace, not attacked, living peacefully with their neighbors. That will guarantee the survival of these people. Oh yes. But then, how does this sound? How does this sound to you given these facts? The leader of the mice tells them that we're going to be around forever. Don't worry, we will be around forever. However, we're going to be chased out of our beautiful land. Our numbers will always remain small and will be persecuted wherever we can. Allahu Akbar, I agree. So that's already a bit, well, why am I writing that in my book? That's a very funny, strange thing to write in a book, yes?
Why start with 300 mice?
I don't know, I made it up.
But we had 3 million.
3 million mice. Okay, 3 million.
Also, Rabbi, those 3 conditions of land, reproduction, and peace, where does that come from again?
Although I don't think there were 3 million, actually. I think there were about 1 million.
Really? You think 600,000 men equals 1 million?
No, at that time, I don't know. I don't know the history. Will you look up and let me know?
I think it was 2.
Not now, though.
I think the estimate was, I think it's
Where-
2.
Rabbi,
thought it was
where
like
do
a
those 3 conditions
What
come
else?
from?
So what's this? So I put that in my book.
This is 2,500.
That's a crazy thing to say. You've just taken away the 3 most fundamental things we need to ensure our survival. It's almost impossible to survive those conditions. In fact, no other family of mice under those conditions ever survived. That would be unique. There are no other peoples who were exiled and few in number and hated, including the 10 tribes of northern Israel, the lost tribes. Any other people who were exiled didn't survive. So you just said something unique. You said something unique is going to happen, by the way. You're going to be the only people who ever survived these conditions. So much so that Blaise Pascal and Mark Twain and everyone's going to freak out. Then the leader says, don't worry, friends. Not only will you not be wiped out, even though you have no land of your own, there are so few of you and everyone hates you, you will actually influence the world around you in remarkable ways. In fact, you will be recognized as the most influential mice family in the world, in all areas, morality, spiritual, technology, civilization. You're the mice dudes. Well, that's unlikely. If everyone hates us, the gypsies aren't doing anything. The Native Americans, they don't do anything. The Aboriginals, they don't do anything. Why not? Because they're scattered, few in number, and hated. And if you're scattered, few in number, and hated, you're not going to have an impact. But don't worry, guys. You completely uniquely, amongst any other nation who is scattered and few in number and hated, you uniquely are going to be remarkably impactful on the world. So much so that Winston Churchill and John Adams and everyone's going to be like, "Whoa, what's going on? These mice are like the dudes. You're the mice dudes." And by the way, everyone, don't worry about your beautiful lush land. It's a conscious land. It will not allow any other nation to thrive there. The land itself will go from being a paradise into being a desert. The population will dwindle. There'll be no civilization there when, in the end, you'll return to your land. That's basically exactly what the Torah is saying. It's just, imagine you should forget the Torah. I've got a whole new way to do discovery. I'm going to give out this sheet at the beginning of 7 Wonders. I'm not going to talk about 7 Wonders, not talk about God. I'm just going to give out that sheet. And I'm going to say, read this. How does this story sound to you? And people will be like, that's stupid, that's ridiculous. And I'm going to say, that's brilliant. Thank you. You learn more from your students than you do from your... Well, no, I didn't learn that from you, I got it from you. That would be an awesome way to do discovery, no? Awesome way to do discovery. Everyone would read that and be like, that's ridiculous, no one. I'll say, yeah, that's exactly what the Torah says, and that's what happened. Thank you very much. Here are your sit. How does this sound to you? Completely ridiculous. These claims make no sense. They're contradictory, fanciful, supernatural. No one would ever claim these things, or would ever pay attention to these claims, and can never guarantee. What would you say about that leader in that nation if in fact all of these claims actually came true? After you reading that, and they all happen, what would you say? You'd be like, well, that's not human. It's mouse. The mouse god. The mouse god can do anything. 7 wonders training. So fine. So let's quickly go back to our questions. We're going through our questions. Number 1, we did. Jews aren't the only nation to survive thousands of years. Not under our conditions. Yes, we are to survive the conditions. Anti-Semitism isn't unique hatred. Well, no other hatred was as universal, consistent, and irrational. Universal, consistent, irrational. Universal, consistent, irrational. No other people were hated wherever they were, including in their own land and everything. Universal, consistent, irrational. These prophecies are vague and can be interpreted after the fact. We did this yesterday. I just wrote in some answers to the ones we already did. Firstly, they're not vague. They're very specific individually and as a group, even more specific. Very specific individually and as a group. But let's say desolation and light unto the nations can be vague. What does it really mean to be desolate? What does it really mean? So that maybe is vague in those individual ones. The question remains, why would a human make these ludicrous claims in the first place? Maybe you could say a bit vague, but you wouldn't expect them to be desolate at all. So however vague, it can't be so vague that you say a lush country is desolate. It's not that vague. It might be a bit vague, but there's a cut-off point to how vague it is. So let's say it just stayed, we got exiled, and in fact the Romans managed to build a whole amazing civilization here with amazing agriculture, and the Byzantines conquered them and continued that, and God bless you. And in 1890, when we started coming back to the land, it was a completely flourishing society, just like Rome and Greece and Antiochus and what's it called? What's the ancient?
Antioch.
No, that's the king of Antioch, and Constantinople and Istanbul. All these great things all around the area. It wasn't like that at all, and you can't argue that we were not a light unto nation, because we were. Quickly, there were other civilizations in the land for 2,000 years. Romans, Byzantines, with some periods of agriculture flourishing. So how can you say the land was desolate? Although there were some periods of great activity compared to what the land was before the exile and what it is now. That's the first point. Remember what the land Israel was when the Jews were here at the temple times. Bustling society, amazing agriculture and trade, and amazing civilization. And what it is now, which is again a bustling amazing thing, everything in between, even in the times where there was some flourishing, the Byzantine period especially, not at all compared to how it was when we were here. Secondly, it's not at all that like the other areas of those empires. In the whole Roman Empire, Israel, even in the good times of Israel, or even in the Byzantine era, Israel was one of the worst places in the Byzantine Empire. Even when it was flourishing a little bit, it wasn't one of the greatest parts of the Byzantine Empire. It was actually a not great part of it. And just very quickly, Byzantine times, very good. The land was significantly and strikingly underdeveloped in terms of population, stability, trade, and agriculture, especially given the factors that make you expect true flourishing, natural fertility of the land, importance of the land. The overall picture is certainly one of general instability and decline, with some brighter periods until the land was a desolate wasteland with a population of 400,000. Yes.
Do you have sources for the historical claims that are being presented, like agricultural and
the Byzantine period was quite moving and shaking. There was programs, there were churches, there was stuff happening in the land, but not nearly as great as you would expect to be happening in the land, seeing as how fertile it is and how important it is and how all the lands around it were at the time and how it was before we left Israel.
Okay, but do you have sources for the information?
Oh, just go to any secular history book. Christian, no.
Because if I'm giving over this presentation, I'm not able to say that because I don't know history like that.
You can
Unless
just
I
say,
go learn the
you can
history,
just say
that's-
there were periods of relative flourishing in the land in the last 2,000 years.
And they're gonna ask me, how do you know that? Where do you know that from?
I'd say to them, I'll just look up. It's natural history. Go chat GBT it. That's obvious. Just go to. Didn't you learn it in school? We learned. You didn't learn history in school. Yeah.
You mentioned before about the 10 tribes that they didn't even make it.
Which was really only 9 tribes, but yes.
Okay.
Shimon was in the south.
I mean, I don't know so
Yeah.
much.
Shimon is
Why does
mixing
it
with
say
us?
10? Why is it 10?
I don't know when we always said the 10 tribes, but it wasn't. It was really 9.
I don't know so much about it, but they were part of Klal Yisrael too, so maybe you could say it was a punishment, but they were promised that they'll flourish, they'll be eternal, and then they were just cut off.
But they will be. They're going to come back. Exile means we are now have no sovereignty over the land. Once the 10 tribes are exiled, we still had Jewish sovereignty over.
Oh, the way I thought the way you were phrasing was that they disappeared, 10 tribes.
Well, they have. Basically, they will reappear.
They're in the
Eliyahu.
Sabbath.
Well, there's the Bnei Ephraim in India, and those in
Cool.
there's some very cool stuff out there. Like people who light candles on Friday night as the sun's going down in the middle of the Himalayas. Why are you doing that? I don't know. That's what we do.
They might have found them.
Based on those factors, a person writing a book whilst the land was fertile has no reason to assume that there would be any decreasing of the land's productivity at all. So would have no reason to make any prediction to that effect. Fine. Oh, next one. Number 5. Jews weren't always few in number. How do you define few in number? Answer that question. It's very quick. It's very-
Proportions.
Proportion. Jews were never more than 1.75% of the world population. That's few in number. But sometimes they were 10% of the Roman Empire. Yes, but they were less than 2% of the world population. We've always been few in number. And it's not a good question. How do you interpret light unto the nations? Christians spread the idea of God more than Jews did. Yes?
Spread through violence and having so many people just didn't have those luxuries. Just did morality.
No, but it's still saying Christians were
Christianity
more.
came from the
Christians have been more of a light unto the nations than Jews.
It's proportionally happens.
Only in the terms of
Yes.
Well, first of all,
They got it from us.
They got it from us. But
Firstly, correct. That's a very fair answer, by the way. They spread our light.
that was our Bible.
We lit the fire. So they spread the fire. We lit the fire.
And the second thing, kind of what you were saying with the fear that they instilled. And
It doesn't matter how they spread it. They spread it.
no, but it was also an easier. Oh, you're just saying just okay.
And they read it. So we say these 3 things: morality, spirituality, and technology. And I often at this point go to the crazy fact that 22% of Nobel Prizes are won by Jewish people. And a crazy amount, I think 25% of all charity money in America comes from Jews.
How much?
25%.
How do you prove that morality?
And 75% of charity money given by Jews goes to non-Jewish causes.
How much? 75%?
Really?
We give 25% of charity in America, and 75% of that 25% that we give goes to non-Jewish causes.
Wow.
Is there something about also like human
Morality, how do we prove that? That morality comes from the Torah? Is that the question?
Saying like
Yes, because at the time the Torah was given, there was no system of tzedakah. There was no system of education for all of society, and there was no system of taking away power from the leader. All of these things that we hold to be our American values were a complete paradigm shift when the Torah was given. For someone to write a book and take away power from himself and make himself hit a rock and make his children not become the next in line to the throne. In fact, we don't hear of their children, or even worse.
Gershon's son was a. You know what I'm talking about?
I actually don't, but
Gershon's son was he was a priest in Egypt. No, one of the other things.
well, at least he was a priest.
No, but
Jews are.
you know,
This is one of my best figures. When is it? 25%, no. It's like 25% of American Buddhists are Jewish. But 60% of Buddhist leaders are Jewish.
Wow.
So at least you get nachas. At least we're still the leaders. But we're still the leaders. And Sam Harris, the world's leading atheist, is Jewish. And with Harari as well. Basically, the world's leading atheists are Jewish. So we're going to lead whatever. We're the greatest.
Bernie Madoff,
Yeah.
Jew.
Made up. It also many. Yes.
Someone just argued with you saying it's not a Jewish principle to go spread Torah to non-Jews, so it's not. It must have existed before.
It is. We at the moment we're not spreading the 7 Noahide laws, but we believe the Torah is for all of humankind.
Well, that's not one that said that. So couldn't someone just argue saying, well, it's not a Jewish principle to necessarily go out and makari like non-Jews to.
It's a
give
Jewish
tzedakah?
principle to take care of the society. Welfare society is a Jewish principle that they learn. Well, our principle wasn't to force it on other people, but it lit up the way for other people. They definitely learned from our. Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai. These aren't all prophecies, they're conditional. You answer that question. Right. These aren't prophecies, they're conditional. Answer that question. Number 7. These aren't all prophecies, they're conditional. If you listen to what I say, you'll be okay. And if you don't, you get kicked out.
Guaranteed that they are. Guaranteed.
Because the Pesukim in Devarim 31 say that it's going to happen. God guarantees it's going to happen. Then we got the question about free will, which we don't answer.
Come to Yeshiva.
Come to Yeshiva. If they didn't come true, we'd just say they haven't happened yet.
41
They
or
will.
41?
Number 8. When it comes to any prophecies, it's not such a risk to put it on your book, because if they don't happen, we'll just say, well, they're going to happen. Christians say that. Jesus, there's going to be another coming of Jesus. Well, has it? Yeah, it's going to. The Christian Bible doesn't say that, by the way. But so you know what? Put any crazy prediction in your book, because as long as it hasn't happened, you'll say, well, it's going to. That's a very good question. Yeah.
I was talking to my dad when I was back in the US, and we got into it, and I was telling him about the Purim code. He thought it was quite like amazing, but he's like, if there's something that like amazing that was like a good thing, like there must be something that's equally negative, and maybe he wouldn't see like the things like us being kicked out of our internet, like I don't know, but he's like, there must be something equally boring, like so amazing that like it must be able to be proven something out, like, you know, my cup will be right here at this moment on this day and stuff like that, like.
Well, we actually believe that his cup being on the table on that day is is encoded in the Torah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like what?
You didn't do the codes one year?
No, we didn't.
We believe everything. Your wife's name is in the Torah, and how many kids you had is all in the Torah.
Like Hazino, your name.
Okay, what's an answer to number 8, please? So uncomfortable.
Okay, so
Still-
go be
it's still-
Nosri.
It's still something a human wouldn't put in their book.
I think there are 2 main answers.
Good at time, it's capitalist.
It's Kabbalistic. It's Kabbalistic and come to Yeshiva for 3 months. For me, the main answer is yes, this is a good question 3,000 years ago. But we're standing in a time of history where all of them did come true. What's the likelihood of that? Your question misses the point at this point. Your question would have been very, very, very good 2,000 years ago. Your question has no power now, because what I'm looking at is a completely supernatural, extraordinary history that did happen. What's the likelihood of it did happen? That didn't. I also think there's a time limit to some of them. At some point, let's say we got into the land and we never were exiled and we were thriving, at some point it would be very, very hard to say. It would be very hard to say at this point that Japan is going to be exiled. Once you're very, very deeply established, it's a bit schwer at this point, especially if you yourself say there are only 6,000 years of Jewish history. and we're in the year 5786, and we were never exiled, and we're flourishing in our land. It's amazing to say, no, we're going to be exiled. At some point, it's like, it makes it very schwer to keep saying it's going to happen. At some point. There's a cutoff, I think, at some point.
Couldn't you say the same thing about Mashiach? All the way around?
Yeah.
No, of course, you know. But couldn't you say, yeah, it's you keep saying it's going to happen, but it hasn't happened yet?
You could say that.
But we know what the cutoff is, or at least we don't know.
I'll tell you why I believe in Mashiach mainly. Because as we've just seen in this class, we do very, very, very well with our predictions. However crazy they are, however supernatural and contradictory they are, all of the predictions have actually happened. So we've got a very, very, very good track record with crazy predictions coming true. So I have no reason not to believe Mashiach.
Mashiach isn't written never in Torah.
In fact, Dov Ber is Gematria Mashiach. It's not. Yes, please.
These are the Tanakh also.
What would you say though to the person who asked this 2,000 years ago?
I'd say mass revelation.
Also, you wouldn't.
I'd say you're right. I don't.
Yes.
No. You know what I'd say? I'd say I still think it's unreasonable for someone to put this in their book. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
You're right, maybe. But why is everyone putting this in book anyway? What are you gaining by putting this in the book? You're just risking your book. That's what I'd say.
Especially because
But still, I keep going back to this general outline that I made, which is it's not reasonable for a person to write that in their book. That's what I'd say 2,000 years ago. And now I'd say, and it's not reasonable to think that it's very luckily actually then happened. Final question. They are self-fulfilling prophecies. They're self-fulfilling prophecies.
What does that mean?
If you want it enough, you'll make it happen.
Exile?
Yeah, how do you self-fulfill exile?
What is the question?
How do you self-fulfill the land, basically, in comparison to what it could have been, basically being pretty desolate for 2,000 years?
So
Why would you want to self-fulfill the Holocaust? This is weird to say so.
So wait, so what would that person, you put that up as a frequently
No,
asked
people
question.
ask that
Which
question
What's the
prophecy-
reasoning for saying that? What would they?
because they're struggling at this point. They're sweating because they want to marry their non-Jewish girlfriend and they can't disprove it. So they're like, oh, it's not gonna happen. Or they're, oh, aliens wrote it. Could have been aliens. Why not? Anything could. This is a very common thing that happens in Discovery. Anything could have happened. And I say to them, okay, just speak it out then. There's a million different ways that this could happen. Someone would say that. Okay, I hear that. Just tell me one of the ways. Just say anything. Okay, tell me then. Speak out the scenario where someone wrote a book 2,500 years ago and put this in, or they were putting it. Just speak it out. Well, a billion different ways. Okay, tell me one. That often happens with mass revelation as well. And say, go and explain it. And then anything.
How would you explain the time traveling aliens?
The time traveling aliens, I'd say yes, but you have to now raise your children to believe in time traveling aliens. It could have been, you're right. But I'll tell you how I explain it. There's nothing in the whole Torah to suggest that it's written by aliens. It doesn't say, and one day the aliens are going to come and you shall bow down to them. It says, you shall do no farming in the 7th year.
About the
And
flying
you should
chariot.
get nothing. There's no alien, there's no there's no tam of alien. There's not even a little twist of lemon in there. There's no twist of alien.
Who
There's
created the
nothing.
alien?
Yeah, but maybe the alien, God created the alien, but then the alien came and gave us this book. But well, it's the worst alien book ever written. Really, this alien's the biggest idiot. Rather than saying worship the aliens when they can, it said kill animals and sprinkle their blood.
What about the flying chariot in Ezekiel? It's like a flying chariot and it's a pillar of fire. Some people use it to describe it's a UFO.
Okay.
There's a little lick of a twist.
Of alien.
Of an alien. It's possible you could frame it that way.
It's another reference of
I don't know how you define alien then. That sounds like a burning chariot.
Extraterrestrial being.
Yeah.
Angels are literally aliens. Though.
They are not self-fulfilling prophecies because no one would want to fulfill these things, and secondly, you can't fulfill them. However much you want, you cannot make the land stop being fertile. It just doesn't work. Are there any other questions we have? Yes, please.
Can you answer 9 again? Like tied to specifically
9.
which prophecies? Yeah. Saying-
Self-fulfilling prophecy means if you want it enough, if there's enough national
For sure.
thing, you're going to work to make sure it happens.
Yeah.
So, I was told this is going to happen, so people get anxious about things because they were told it's going to. So that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. There are two answers to that. Firstly, these are the things that no one would work to make happen or want to happen. I have no interest in being exiled and hated.
Well, that wouldn't be, the claim wouldn't be that like that's in their control. Like, meaning it's not so. Is it super crazy to think that that nation's going to get exiled?
Well,
I'm saying like if
it's
it's
quite
a
crazy
piece of
because,
land, there's tons of empires. Okay, it's possible. It's possible. Like
We said at the very beginning, very unlikely because exile was very uncommon. Apart from the Assyrians, very uncommon. We said like the Greeks conquered, the Romans conquered, the Byzantines conquered. They didn't kick out. So the idea of exile itself is not. What I would do.
When did the Jews get kicked out historically?
70 CE.
Like you're saying, the Romans
The
took all the
Romans.
Jews and physically moved them.
Yes, there were always some Jews in the. There were always some Jews in the.
The Romans moved hundreds of thousands of Jews to where?
Out, kicked out the land. Lots went to Rome. There was a huge Jewish population in Rome, but that's when the diaspora started. After that,
I've never heard that.
I'm going to send you an amazing article that Aish did just like last month. But there were always Jews in the land. We always had pockets of Jews in there. But if I was writing the book based on what you're saying now, I'd say we'll get conquered because there's so many empires around us. I'll get conquered is something, but I'll get exiled very unlikely. So, but let's say I did put it in. Let's say it is likely, for example. It's not self-fulfilling. It's not something that I'm going to put effort into achieving. Self-fulfilling means I'm putting effort into achieving this thing to make this prophecy come true. That's ridiculous to think. Even if what you're saying is true, it's not ridiculous to think that we'll get exiled. Fair. But it's ridiculous to think that a nation is going to work hard to try to get exiled. That's a strange thing.
I don't think that would be the claim.
What does self-fulfilling prophecy mean?
I think I understand that like self-fulfilling prophecy, like
Something
in the
that
mice
you're
example,
working hard to fulfill.
yes, but not those ones. Meaning the land one's decent and I have response to it as well. Like in the mice example, what would be the best way to like get those mice to survive would be tell the mice that like humanities are on your shoulder. If you could convince the mice like this is the most important thing in the whole world and your whole family will die if you don't survive no matter what, then those mice, if assuming they can understand, then you can train the mice to like kind of like go through everything. So I think it's actually a very valid claim because at the end of the day, as Jews, if you think, even if it wasn't Jewish to say that, if you think that like you have this crazy divine mission, you have to survive with everything, then of course, no matter what, you are going to do it. You're going to stay alive and ultimately come back.
Is that really more
Not
likely than
necessarily.
Donald
So I'm
Trump?
saying also,
But not
when you
necessarily,
compare it
'cause
to
they
other
could have just
nations-
got all killed.
Other nations, say that again?
They could have just all. That's very nice. So I'm going to do everything I can to survive.
Yeah.
But then they all
once
get
in
killed.
exile, I don't think it's so crazy. Meaning, even if it wasn't true, if you have a belief that's so steadfast, you'll die for it. You'll do everything. I mean, a lot of other nations in general, they're especially more like pagan nations. They're more willing to like accept. I mean, like their belief wouldn't necessarily be as steadfast as a Jewish belief. Meaning, you can ask like, why do Jews have this steadfast belief, whatever. But once you have the belief, Jews will do whatever it is to survive and come back and move on and follow the Torah.
But then some nations would just kill them all though. That's very nice that I really want to stay alive because I have my beliefs. And I'll do everything for my beliefs. But then what's stopping the other nations just killing out? I don't care.
So you're kind of just like doing an entire genocide? Like what do you mean?
Yes.
Okay, you're telling me the Romans, first of all, I thought it was after 135, after the revolt of Bar Kokhba, that they moved everybody out. And I don't know the history so well. Like I don't understand. Meaning,
Sounds like
the
you
Romans
get better than me.
the Romans didn't just like wipe out every single nation they conquered. I think, what are you saying? You're saying because the Jews are steadfast?
No,
in their
once
belief?
we are now in the diaspora,
Yeah.
and we are hated and killed.
Hated and what?
Hated and killed and everything. Even though we hold on to our Torah with all our lives, that doesn't stop people killing us. It would just be possible that we are just going to get destroyed and
Probably make someone
completely
kill it
destroyed in the.
Yeah, and I'm saying that like again, if we care so much about something, we'll do everything in our power to.
I will,
doesn't
but that
change the
doesn't
fact
stop
that
the
you
guy
can kill.
shooting me in the head.
Say that again.
That won't stop him shooting me in the head.
I know. I mean, 6 million Jews they get killed in Europe. Meaning, not every single Jew wants to kill every single Jew. Because I don't understand what you're asking me. Like, you're
No,
saying,
but
why are
just
we not
because
fully
Jews
wiped
are
out?
saying I'd do anything for my religion,
Yeah.
I'm going to hold on to it.
But I'm
That
saying,
doesn't
why
stop-
would you assume that all these nations want to completely kill all these Jews? For thousands of years, Jews in Africa, Jews in the East were kind of just chilling with the Arabs there or whatever. I mean, why are you assuming that that they're going to get killed by everybody.
I'm not assuming, I'm just saying it's possible and likely, and through the years that did happen a lot. And then assimilation happened. I'm seeing it now, today, that assimilation is happening. We've got 72% Jews marrying non-Jews. Like.
For sure, I'm saying, I still think that again, once in exile, once the Jews have this steadfast belief, it's very not.
Why did he put it in his book? Because he put it in his book because he knew that they were going to exile, and I'm going to put this in the book to make sure that they hold on to their traditions even in persecution. That's what he's saying.
Sure. I mean, again, like first off, you couldn't in theory try to make a narrative, but like just for sure on that point, like.
Fine, but
yeah, sure. Meaning, if he wants to get his people to like, yeah, sure. Let's just say he
but
wants.
Why say we're going to get exiled in the first place? Why just say to hold on to your beliefs, whatever happens? Anything that ever happens, you die for this. You hold on to your beliefs. Really, do it. Hold on to your beliefs. What's the whole extra? We're going to get exiled. What if they were never exiled? Let's say they were never exiled.
Yeah.
And the book's false now. Why did what? It's not. You're not gaining so much by saying we're going to be exiled, more than saying hold on to your beliefs, whatever happens to us. Adding an extra, we're going to be exiled, which is quite unlikely. So we never got exiled. Then the book's false, and then we have to say, well, we will get exiled. It's just not. It's not gaining that much. You could gain what you're saying in a much better way without risking anything. You could gain the hold on to your beliefs all your life without risking there not being exiled. That's one idea. The other idea is light unto nations and desolate land aren't self-fulfilling. It doesn't matter what you do. You can try all you like to do those things.
Okay, so I actually have a problem with both those claims that you haven't like really answered. Again, I agree with you in the whole. Like, I actually don't like both those claims so much. So like then the first answer
you're saying the land wasn't it? It said the land's going to be the rest of the
I wouldn't. I'm not into that. Like again, all these empires' way of work. Like, to my understanding, they had a general capital city.
The yeshiva's coming in now. Shmuz now. Go shmuz now. I like this. So let's talk.
Yeah. I mean, like,